Hey, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. Unfortunately, we are here to talk about yet another Cubs loss. But before we get to all of that, I am Ron Luce, joined today by Mr. Cody Delmendo. Cody, I am going to turn it over to you, sir. How are you feeling right now?
Dude, I'm so annoyed. Like, I'm gonna have to pull out the mayonnaise again or something to get the juju back because I did not eat an entire thing of fucking mayonnaise to watch this Cubs team do this. No. It should be illegal. They should be fucking arrested for what they've done the last 2 days. 25 men left on base, 1 for 15 runners in scoring position today. It's absolutely brutal the way the Cubs have lost the last 2 days. Last night, I can understand Shane Bieber, AL Cy Young, some bad luck. You guys mentioned the Matt Duffy liner with Chris Bryant on second base. If that ball doesn't get caught, Chris Bryant scores, maybe the Cubs have more runs. Today, completely different story. You're going up against a guy who's not even like I know the Indians have one of the top bullpens in the league, but it's not Shane Bieber, and you score less runs than yesterday. I don't get it. I don't get it. And all of it really just comes down to they had chances. They had more hits than the Indians. Both days today, or both games, more hits than the Indians. 2 losses. It's just frustrating. A lot of it comes back to miss opportunities and the injury bug for sure. I'm so over Ildemaro Vargas, bro. So over. You know what? Ildemaro Vargas, he's not a bad player. Like, the fact that he got to the major leagues, that shows something. That says something. But the role that he's in right now is not where he needs to be. This is a 25 or 29-year-old like journeyman. Literally, I looked him up on Baseball Reference. He has a 0.0 WAR for his career. He has like 300 at bats for his career, and he's 29. We know what he is, and that's why missing a guy like Nico Hoerner is huge right now. And having guys like Chris Bryant, sick, whatever it is, like, I understand wanting to give Chris Bryant a day off and all that, and I'm not arguing the fact that he should have played today.
Right.
What I'm saying is like, when you got these guys out, it starts to show. And the Cubs have decent depth too. They're not like it's not like they don't have depth. It's just the injury bug is really caught up to. I mean, where people were calling for Ian Happ to be cut a month ago, and it's like now they're probably realizing, oh shit, like there's a reason that Rossi kept playing him every day. You know what I mean? And like, I commend guys like Nick Martini for coming in playing hard. Like, he's had some nice at bats. I commend guys like even Vargas. As much as I'm over him, like, he's not been terrible defensively. He's just not come up in the big spot. And the Indians just try, like, they were in the perfect spot every time. They were in a big spot where Vargas was coming up, and he just didn't come through in these last 2 days. He just didn't. They literally got the one big hit from him on Sunday against Pittsburgh.
Right. I was going to say, it feels like naturally, because this is just how the universe works. It's like every big moment the Cubs have had in the last, 3 games, Vargas somehow every single freaking time has been at bat. And I agree with you. I think that's what's infuriating, because it's like he's hitting low in the lineup, but it just so happens that, God, you wish, like you said, like a Nico Hoerner was in that spot. Who knows what happens?
Yeah.
Then, right? Especially for how hot Nico was, before his injury. And I agree with you, man. Like, people calling for Ian Happ to be cut, a month ago are now like, I would kill for Ian Happ right now in this lineup because it would look so much better. Like, I agree, man. Like, the injury bug right now is really starting to show. And it shows that, I said it on last night's show with Juice, like, this 2021 season is going to be won by the healthiest good team. Like, that's just how it's going to be, because every team in the league is struggling with injuries right now. And now it just so happens that this wave right now for the Cubs comes at a time that you would hope they would be full staff, because you're playing, again, a good Indians team, if we're talking record here, because of the, they have their second place, I believe, still now in the AL Central. They get the good pitching. That's really what's carried them. Their bats haven't carried them. They've gotten just enough for their pitching to be able to come in and shut the game down. But now you got the Detroit Tigers coming up this weekend too, and obviously we'll talk about that at depth, a little more in depth later in the show. But like, this is a situation now that you would almost wish that Nico Horner and Bryant and Peterson and all these guys are playing, because this is the perfect time for you guys, as a team, to start putting it all together. Because then you got the Nationals, who, no matter what their record is at any point, they're still a pretty deep team. And then you got the Cardinals for the first time all season. And that's going to be a bloodbath, because it always is. So I agree with you, man. It's really frustrating right now watching this Cubs team, because you just sit there and you go, son of a bitch. Like, if they were healthy, like, you got a 3-hit day out of Jock Peterson today. You got a 4-hit day out of Wilson Contreras, which I know you said it on Twitter. And but a bunch of other people did. That was the first 4-hit game any Cubs players had this season. And they wasted it, because 7 of their 9 hits were from 2 guys. And that is tough. And again, though, but it's not like they're not getting on base. Right. They're getting on base. They just can't drive these guys in. And
it went from in April, the Cubs can't even get hits. We would celebrate just getting a hit, to, okay, the Cubs are getting hits, but they're not coming up. They're not executing in, I guess, quote unquote, clutch situations. And that's almost worse than just not getting any hits, because the Cubs got blown out like a handful of times in April. And today and yesterday, 1-run games. And they talked about on the broadcast, the last 5-6 games, the last week and a half, it feels like the Cubs are playing 1-run games with everyone, which is fine. Gives me a lot of anxiety. I got my biting my nails, whatever, and they were able to squeak all of them out last week, Now this week, it's like one thing doesn't go right can be the thing that just kind of changes the game. And I mean, in the 10th inning, Vargas doesn't get the sacrifice bunt down. And then, of course, the Indians get it down in the bottom half. Like, it just, as soon as the Indians got the sacrifice bunt, I knew the game was over. As much as I didn't want to believe it, I just knew it was, because it was like they executed something simple that, in my opinion, all Major League Baseball players should be able to do. Again, I know the pitching, like the pitcher, whenever everyone knows that you're going to sacrifice a bunt, it does become heightened and it becomes harder to execute something like that. But at the same time, everyone knew that the Indians were going to do it in the bottom half of the inning, and they managed to figure it out. I know Marty's in the comments right now. He says, thank God Kimbrel's staying fresh for the game tomorrow, as in, like, he was probably upset that they used Keegan Thompson instead of Kimbrel. I mean, I thought Keegan Thompson was okay. I mean, it just sucks that you start with the runner on second base. The game's a complete different situation if you don't start with the runner on second base. In my opinion, I guess I would have liked Kimbrel out there. But at the same time, I don't. That's not the reason they lost. It's not the reason they lost today. And Keegan Thompson almost got out of it. He had the bases loaded, 1 out, and he got a strikeout. And then the next guy came out and got the game-winning hit. So, I mean, it's, again, I think Keegan Thompson continues to grow and show that he's going to be a part of this Cubs bullpen one way or another for the foreseeable future. And, if there's any positives to take away, it was the pitching side for the Cubs. And, I don't know, man. Marty's comment, it basically explains, like, what I'm kind of saying is, like, one thing that doesn't go right will overshadow, the entire reasoning behind why they really lost. And why they really lost is because they just didn't score, runners in score position, and all the missed opportunities. Because again, like, it's just, you go 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position.
Brutal.
1 for 15.
Brutal.
They should be arrested. They should not. They should be put in timeout in the Cook County Jail, bro. Like, it's just unacceptable, man. Unacceptable. And it kind of goes back to a little bit of what we kind of talked about on Skies Falling on Sunday. Me, Josh, Barlog, and Tommy and Sean. Josh has kind of talked about it, and he's a White Sox fan. So from the outside looking in, he kind of sees, like, the Cubs are a team that they'll win a lot of games in a row, but they could also lose a lot of games in a row. Like, they'll be real hot or they'll be real cold. There's no middle in between. And for the way that this week is going, it's kind of that. Like they were hot last week, and the week before that they were ice cold, and the week before that they were red hot. Right. Now we're back in the ice cold right now. I know it's just 2 games because they got 2 off days this week, but I guess the only difference is they were very winnable games. And I'm going off on a tangent and everything now, but I just can't get over 25 fucking left on base, dude. 25.
I agree. And that really is right now just the absolute crime against humanity with this Cubs team is that they just can't hit with guys in runner scoring position. They're getting them there. It's not a matter of having issues with guys being in scoring position. That was the problem years and years ago. I know in like 2019, I think is a perfect example when KB had a really good year. He had 29 home runs. You would think he would have more than like 77 RBIs or whatever he ended up having. But the reason is because the Cubs could just for the life of them not get runners in scoring position. Now it's the opposite problem. They're able to get them in scoring position. They just can't deliver the hits. Literally today, like you said, 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. If you go 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position, this game is probably over. Like it was just that was literally the nature of today's game. And yes, Cleveland has good pitching, whatever, that's fine. But like they had the opportunities. It wasn't a lack of opportunities. It wasn't like yesterday Shane Bieber pitched an 8-inning gem with only allowing 2 hits. No, he gave up 9 hits yesterday in 6 2/3. I want to know the last time he did that. I know he's been struggling a little bit, quote unquote. Apparently 3.57 ERA in your last 4 starts in the AL is struggling, but damn. But again, for Bieber, that is struggling because he had like a 2-something ERA in his first 4 starts or whatever it was. But I mean, and Marty and our boy Joey that are both in the comments right now, they agree with us, right? The bats are the issue because it wasn't the pitching today, Cody. I completely agree with you, and I'm glad you said that because Davies looked really good today, rebounded nicely, 5 1/3 inning. He obviously gave up the 1 run, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, if Davies doesn't do that." Bro, Davies pitched a gem today. He gave up 5 hits. He only walked 2, and he struck out 4. Like, that's exactly what you would hope for out of a guy like Davies.
The only thing, sorry to cut you off there. The only thing is like the Cubs, Jock Peterson got that RBI double. And then you're like, I literally tweeted like, feed me a shutdown inning because like I need like that's kind of been like the thing that's gone against the Cubs is they'll score a run, but they can't get that important shutdown inning right after that kind of keeps them the momentum. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Davies gives up 2 straight hits that lead to them tying the game. Again, I'm not slandering his start. 2 consecutive starts now, 3 if you really want to get like real deep into it in terms of just like being his role as the number 3 starter. But 2 quality outings from Zach Davies the last 2, which is encouraging. So I'm with you. I'm not going to blame Zach Davies. I mean, you give up 1 run. You can't. I guess I don't know if it was the 3rd time through the lineup whenever that happened. I'm assuming it was because it was the top of the order. And we've talked about it in depth about, going through that 3rd time through the order, like what's going to happen. Right. And how everyone compares Zach Davies and Kyle Hendricks to be basically like a poor man's Kyle Hendricks. Well, Kyle Hendricks has always struggled the 3rd time through the lineup for the majority of his career. He'll have those elite outings that they don't necessarily come out of nowhere, but they will be, just like that's when he's like on. Right. And that's the difference between Kyle Hendricks and guys like Zach Davies and guys like fucking fucking Shane Bieber or fucking, guys who are throwing upper 90s, you know what I mean? Like that just power stuff. Like that's honestly the difference. It's just harder. I feel like it is harder for them to go deep into games on a consistent basis. Yeah. Unlike the power guys. And so again, nothing against Davies and obviously nothing against Kyle Hendricks. It's just on a consistent basis. I think that you're more likely to get the outings like you're going to get from like what you saw out of Zach Davies today than you would, an elite starter. So
absolutely. I'm right there with you, man. And I'll tell you what, Sean thinks the answer is mail. Yeah, I'm not bringing the mail back, dude.
Now, if we lose like 10 in a row or something, I might consider it. But like, If we lose 10 in a row,
yeah.
If we lose 10 in a row, is it even worth it? Is it worth to go through that pain again?
I mean,
if we lose 10 in a row, then we would be out of it by June.
If we really needed to hit the brakes and like give some good Cubs on tap mojo to this team, if they go on like a 7 or 8 in a row skid, I would drink a bottle of Frank's Red Hot. I would do it. If it means the Cubs getting back on track. I'll tell you what though, Cody, I know we've talked a lot of negative today, but one thing I really do want to bring up was the dominance of the pen, because Justin Steele finally pitching in a high leverage situation. I was excited when they were bringing him in. I'm like, yes, let this kid show if he's really made of it or if it's just a bunch of bullshit. Well, no, he's really made of it. Sure, he walks the one, but he gets 2 strikeouts for the last 2 outs, gets Davies out of the jam with the go-ahead run on third. And then Ryan Tepera, clean inning with a strikeout, and then Chafin, 2 clean innings with 2 strikeouts.
2 innings, man.
Just majestic pitching from the bullpen. So they continue to be a strength of this team, and that is something that is incredibly encouraging that cannot be understated, because especially right now when the starting rotation is still kind of finding their ish, Davies is still kind of getting into form. Kyle Hendricks is still trying to find that consistency that he's flashed, but hasn't done consistently, obviously, this year. Williams is still trying to get some of his command down so he can go a little deeper into games. And, Arrieta just needs to get healthy. And then Alzolay, once they take the training wheels off with his pitch count, eventually I think he starts going deeper. And he still even went 6 innings yesterday. But, this bullpen has been the absolute just the guy. The bullpens they're them dudes. You know what I mean? Like, they come in and they get their fucking job done.
I just, when we talk about the bullpen, I get all giddy inside about it. And then I just, my negativity comes out and I'm like, man, I wish we had this bullpen in like 2018 or something like that.
I know. Literally any of the last 5 years of this Cubs team outside of 16. Like, even in 16, imagine this bullpen with that 16 team. They probably win like 110 games that year. Easy.
At least, yeah. Like, this bullpen adds a couple more wins to your total for sure. With any of those teams from the past, outside of last year, obviously, like it struggled at the beginning of last year in the first month, but then of the second of the 2 months that they played, it was like what we've seen now. So
right,
yeah, man. No, I'm with you, and I'm not trying to be super negative about this game. It's just like, the Cubs, they win 5 of 6. You go on the road and you got good juju going. You got you give a decent performance against Shane Bieber and you lost, but you could still hold your head high knowing that, hey, we were right there at the very end. And then they fucking do the same shit that they did yesterday today, and it's just infuriating because they need to get going, man. Like, St. Louis is starting to pull away a little bit. They're 5 games back now in the division. I know it's May. I know it's early. I know that this team has plenty of veteran experience and they know how, they know that they got to start winning games. But also, and I hate bringing it up, but it just it's given Jed more and more reason to, consider trading pieces in July. I want to be in it. I want to be in it in July, man. 100%. I don't want the story to end like this. This cannot be the last dance. No, it can't end like this. So that's why it's annoying. That's why it's frustrating to me. That's why I'm sitting here yelling at a mic with you about it. And, it sucks. But, I mean, back to some positive stuff. You mentioned the bullpen. We mentioned Zach Davies, Jock Peterson, 3 hits today. Wilson Contreras, 4 hits. That's great. I thought, it's hard to even be mad at the offense because they got hits. Like I said, they got a lot of hits. They just didn't score runs in the big spots. And yesterday it was the line drive by Duffy that ended up being caught that didn't allow them to score a run. Today it's Vargas not getting the sack bunt down. I thought the inning that Chris Bryant came in to pinch hit and he got hit really changed the complexion of how that inning was going to go because he's up there in a clutch spot. Luckily for the Indians, it wasn't bases loaded, so him getting hit didn't necessarily hurt them. Mm-hmm. So you bring up the next guy, and who was it? Hayward. I mean, come on. I'm sure they were even though they hit him, they were probably like, yeah, it's probably okay that we did that. You know what I mean?
They saw Jay Hay and his 173 average coming to the plate. Right. And they're like, yeah, we're okay.
Right. And it kind of surprised me that they went after Bryant. But All I know is that another positive to take away is that, at least according to David Ross, if Chris Bryant's fine, they said they were going to take him out no matter what. Everyone was kind of freaking out that they took him out after he got hit, so he didn't run the bases. Brought in Martini to run the bases. According to Ross, he says that they were going to take him out either way. So all I'm saying is they got to get him in the lineup on Friday no matter what, man. Like, I don't know how sick he is, but if he's not sick enough to not be able to suit up, or if he's sick enough but can still suit up, then how sick are you? I hate being that guy, man. I hate being that guy, but that's just like the position the Cubs are in right now. We got our backs against the wall. We gotta win series, man. Like going into the last week, I was all on the let's win 2 out of 3. Let's win 2 out of 3 train, and we did that. We did that for 2 straight series, and now we get swept in a 2-gamer against this team, which, the Indians are 20-14 now, whatever. They've been no-hit twice. Like, I don't know where the Indians are going to be come July, but, like, I don't think they're that great. Like we said, they have great elite pitching, and that's going to keep them in games all season. They're like the Mets of the fucking AL of the American League, except they really win games, except for the Mets are kind of a trash organization, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what their record is. I just know the Cubs swept them like a month ago. So,
yeah, I mean, ironically, the Mets are actually. I think the Cubs sweeping them actually helped the Mets because they're 18-13 and currently lead the NL East. So, kudos on the Cubs for taking.
How much I fucking know then.
Yeah, that's okay, dude. Honestly, especially at this point in the season, like the standings change so frequently. Like, it's so hard to keep up with unless you're literally looking day by day. And I mean, speaking of day by day, right? Even after that Pittsburgh series, we're talking about the Cubs only being 2.5 out of first place. They're now 5 out of first place. Cardinals have stayed hot. Cardinals are now 22-14. Ironically, are tied with the Giants of all teams for the best record in the NL. Wild year, man. That's just 2021 how it has been so far. But in fairness, they're only 2 games out of second place right now with the Brewers. So like they're still in it. Sure, they're 5 games out, but we're only
mid-May.
Yeah, it's early.
30-some games in. I know it's early.
Oh, I know. But I'm just saying, like, I think at least now, if they're going to go through the bullshit of being hurt and, like you said, like, I'm dealing with this depth and, like, because I agree with you. If KB's able to play, like, they need KB right now. Like, KB needs to, put on his jersey and then he needs to go grab the red Superman cape and put that on with it, too, because, like, they really need a lot of help right now. Like, it's great seeing Rizzo take 3 walks today, but, like, I'm hoping in that situation Rizzo gets a single and he drives in Willie. You know what I mean? Instead of walking, because then the double play is able, and if it wasn't for Javi beating the ball out, that's a double play at the end of the inning. So I think they need more from their stars right now, and KB has been that guy right now, and he's the healthiest one because unfortunately Horner's still out, as is guys like Ian Happ, and then Rizzo is just still kind of waking up yet. I don't think he's really hit his stride yet.
Yeah, Rizzo's, his slash line right now is 233, 347, 433. And I think the thing that kind of scares me the most on that is probably the slugging being down, because even when he's getting hits, he's not getting extra base hits, and that's what they need. Right. That's what the Cubs need out of him. Mm-hmm. It's not April anymore. We don't got the excuse. And I it's hard to hate on Riz, man. He's Riz. Like, he's the guy. He's the captain. You know what I mean? And like, maybe, right now, remember at the beginning of the year, we were kind of like pissed off at the fact that the Cubs didn't extend Rizzo and they offered him like a 4 or 5 year deal, like $70 million. Yeah. Like right now he's playing like a 4 or 5 year, $70 million type player. I mean, he is. He's not playing like a $20 million a year player. He just isn't. And I don't know, like, I know he's playing for that new contract and there's still plenty of time, but like right now he's kind of right there. I wouldn't say it's as bad as Javi, but like him and Javi are kind of like right there in terms of like, this is why the Cubs didn't say yes to Javi, $180 million. And then, Riz, I don't know how much he wanted. They didn't really say. We all estimated 5 years, $100 million. But I mean, Javi's played better of late, but he's still not worth $180 million. Riz, Riz is just like going through the motions right now. Like I feel like, soon, if not soon, like June. I remember 2 years ago in June 2019, Riz really got hot and then just kind of coasted like that the rest of the year.
Yeah,
and that's kind of why he hasn't made the All-Star team in recent years, because he's just always a guy who struggles at the beginning of the year.
He gets hot late.
Yeah. Then gets hot late, and that basically guys make the All-Star team because they're hot in April and May. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, again, I'm not getting down on Riz, but like he isn't doing himself any favors with a potential contract extension of more than what the Cubs offered him right now, at least. So he still walks. You still love the approach. He's still the guy. He's still your captain. He's still the guy you want at first base. He's still the guy that I want at first base long term. It's just
absolutely
like I said, you need more out of him. If he's only slugging .433 right now after this many games, like, to me that's a little alarming. So hopefully you can get it going, man, because the Cubs, they're getting hits, but obviously they need the stars to be the stars, and Chris Bryant can't be the only one when he comes back.
I agree. They need more out of their star power. It can't just be the Matt Duffy and Chris Bryant show right now. And obviously Duffy had a bad day, but encouraging things though. Wilson, who's been in a bit of a slump lately, gets 4 hits today. That's big. If he can keep that up, and obviously he's not going to get 4 hits every single day, but as long as he can start getting, maybe puts a little hitting streak together, and maybe, he gets a 3, 4, 5, 6 game hitting streak going, just to kind of help that average creep back up a little bit. Because I think even after today, his average is still fairly down. Yeah, it's 248 now. Obviously, 4 hits this early in the season will do that for you, especially when he was just at like 211, I think, in that Pirates series. So, good to see him get up. Even with Duffy going 0 for 5 today, he still set a 275, which is still like the best in this lineup today, if you don't count KB. And then like you said, man, it's good to see Jock get going too. Now he's up to 244. So you get some of these guys that come around. Hopefully they get healthy. And speaking of health, I have a little tidbit. We have it here in the comments. I'm sure you see it. I'll go ahead and say it now, but supposedly Jake Arrieta is slated to start on Friday. So thanks to our boy Joey for that information. Did not see that. We did not mention that yet. So, and it's good because MLB.com right now says TBD versus TBD is the pitching matchup for Friday. So it sounds like Jake will be coming back. Maybe that's a good sign that hopefully Nico will be coming back too, because they went on the IL at the same time. If you insert Nico into this lineup right now, I feel like that's an injection of youth that they could really use right now. So that'll be certainly something to kind of keep an eye on as well. But Cody, I'm right there with you. I feel like we can bash our heads off the wall and continue to talk about runners in scoring position or stuff. But they have an off day tomorrow. Hopefully they can all reset, get your mind right, go to Detroit, kick the shit out of the lowly Tigers, and then hopefully bring it back and get a W on your birthday on Monday, man. That'll be that'll be big stuff. But you got any final thoughts on today's game and the series as a whole before we look ahead to Friday?
As far as the series, I think I aired it all out. I don't think this is a series the Cubs are going to look back and be like, man, this is the reason we didn't make the playoffs. But I just wish we would have at least got one. Anyone could have, either the Cubs or the Indians could have won this series. 1 games, literally 1 goes to extras. It's just tough. It's like we always say, it's like you'd rather lose 10-0 than like 2-1. It's just because so many things stick out. And I think the biggest thing right now is just, timely hitting and getting healthy, because I'd much rather see Nico Horner at second base or shortstop, wherever in the middle infield, than Ildemaro fucking Vargas. So
I'm right there with you, man. Yeah, health will be key for this team going forward, especially with, again, like we said, a fairly brutal stretch coming up, because yes, you have the crappy Tigers coming up this weekend. They're still a MLB ball club, so they can still beat you. I know I hate to say that, but it's true, still the reality, right? Still the reality.
It's the same. It's like everything we've said about the Pirates going into the season. You know what I mean? Like exactly. we just assumed that the Cubs were going to sweep the Pirates the first week of the year, and like Pirates won opening day, Cubs won the next 2 after that. But like even in all the games that they have played the Pirates since then have been tough, close games. So we haven't seen Detroit, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. So, I don't know. I just hope that if the bats get going, they should win that series easily. So, I mean, when I say that, I mean if the bats start driving in runs in the situations, then should be okay. So big ballpark there. So I don't know if we're gonna hit any home runs or a lot of home runs, but if you can get those gaps,
days,
baby.
Doubles for days, baby. But yeah, I mean, and just like you said, man, I mean, this is the time for this team to get healthy and figure out the runners in scoring position hitting, because you got 4 with Washington, 3 with St. Louis, you play Pittsburgh again, and then you got 3 with Cincy, 3 with San Diego, 4 with the Giants, who are in first place, and then you got 3 more with San Diego. And that takes you into June 10th then. So there's a lot of good baseball teams on the Cubs schedule between now and essentially the middle of June, so over the next month. So now is the time for this team to get healthy and really turn the gas on. But I'm right there with you, man. I have nothing further on this series either. So we'll go ahead and look forward to Friday, because as we mentioned, the Cubs are off tomorrow on Thursday. So if you are listening to this on Thursday, obviously no game today. Enjoy yourself. Go out. It is Thirsty Thursday. I think I'm going to rep my Myrtle Beach Pelicans shirt from Obvious Shirt. Shout out to both of them. Good old Thirsty Thursday T-shirt. That'll be worn tomorrow for old Ron Loose. But we will look ahead to Friday as the Cubs do go and visit the Detroit Tigers in Detroit at beautiful Comerica Park. It is a 6:10 local time first pitch, so 7:10 for those on the East Coast. Sorry, Juice. On May 14th. Usual suspects for the Cubs, 670 The Score, Marquee Sports Network, where you can listen and watch that game. And if you're in the Detroit market, 97.1 The Ticket and Valley Sports Detroit. As I mentioned, the pitching matchup currently lists as TBD versus TBD, but thanks again to Joey for the information regarding the Jake Arrieta.
They had just announced it. I searched Jake Arrieta on Twitter, and all the beat reporters were reporting that Arrieta was going to start. Looks like it's going to be Arrieta, Williams, and Hendricks this weekend.
Okay, that's good. I think if Jake can come out and pitch like he has, outside of that last start, where I think is when he got banged up, and I would assume is when he went why he went on the IL. But I mean, if he looks anything like he did his first 5 starts, at least going 5, maybe 6 of 1 or 2 runs at most. This is the time for Jake to get himself right, and hopefully that translates into some wins here in Detroit. So, sir, I'll turn it quickly over to you for a little preview for Friday. And outside of Andrew Chafin, if you have another Fly the W pick, would love to hear it as well.
Well, speaking of Andrew Chafin, man, 2 innings, 2 strikeouts today. That's a solid 1 or 2 Fly the W points. I'm just going to point that out there. Like we kind of already talked about, Detroit sucks. I know we like to say that, or Blackhawks fans like to say that. They're not good at baseball. They got a lot of young players, and they were kind of tough. Like I watched them a little bit last year, and they were kind of tough. And they've just started this season very, very bad. Jake Arrieta coming back. I think this is a nice matchup for him to just get back into that rhythm. Because it would suck for him to come back and have to face I don't know, San Diego or someone, or St. Louis, or even the Nationals next week. You know what I mean? I think this is a nice start for him to get back and try and get back into that rhythm that he had in April, and eat some innings. I mean, that's what we need. I think I saw a stat on the broadcast today. I guess this isn't really related to Jake Arrieta, but the bullpen, I guess in the month of May, the walks, the walk percentage from the bullpen is 6th in baseball, whenever it was towards the bottom in baseball in April. So the walks from the bullpen have been down, which is good. And I think that it's been pretty solid with the rotation as well. The problem with the issues with the rotation is just whenever, they don't have none of them have overpowering stuff except for maybe Alzolay. And so, the room for error isn't as wide as some like the Indians. They have a lot of room for error, I think, when it comes to their pitching staff, because they have so many elite guys with insane stuff. But, I think I just bring up that stat because I think that's something that we've seen consistently from the rotation and the bullpen this month. Again, just score runs when you have the opportunity, when you have the chance. I think, when we went to that Dodger series last week, you know, and they scored those 4 runs in that first inning, and just kind of, and then ended up shocking us, sweeping that series. I think
shocking your stomach too.
Yeah, and shocking my stomach. Like that's kind of like what they need on Friday. Like they need to score early, like put a 4 spot up and kind of get that momentum going and keeping it going through the weekend. And we'll think of this week as just a 3-2 week by the end of the week. And, you know, we'll be okay. We'll be, you know, if that happens, we'll be back at 500. So because they're currently 2 games under. So I think winning this game Friday will be very important in terms of just the tone of the series. You win the Friday, you have less pressure on Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, so I guess my Fly W player, like it's always Chafin for sure because that guy is legendary. But I will. I'm gonna take if I had to take an offensive player. I'll take Matt Duffy. He's going to bounce back from the 0 for 5, and he's going to be in there. He's going to be doing something. And he's a guy who I can see, you know, living in the gaps this weekend.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And I loved your comparison, too, about Matt Duffy today on Twitter about like a Ben Zobrist-esque player. Really, the only thing he lacks is he's not a switch hitter. Otherwise, they do feel like very similar players. So I
he doesn't
enjoyed
really
that
hit any home runs. I don't think he has a home run with the Cubs yet. And I know Zobrist put up, you know, anywhere between 10 to 20 in his tenure with the Cubs every year. So maybe he doesn't have as much power, but, you know, he's got the contact and they were talking about him as like a, you know, being just a leader in the clubhouse and stuff like that, like one that no one really saw coming. So I keep loving this guy more and more, and you know, guys are playing for contracts, and Matt Duffy's playing like a guy who wants to be in Chicago for a while. And you know, if the Cubs aren't able to keep Baez or Bryant, you know, I'm not saying that we're going to give Matt Duffy a 5-year, $150 million extension. I'm just saying he's a nice piece that I guess if they miss out on that, at least you could maybe keep him around for a couple bridge years on a decent deal that he'd earned, and you won't feel too upset about it. I mean, you'll be upset because it's like, okay, you gave this guy money, but then again, we'll have to see how it all plays out. But like, I'm just saying, like he's a nice piece to have moving forward, and no matter what direction your team's going. So or, you know, spin zone it. Maybe if the Cubs are just way out of it come mid to late July, you know, and he's still playing great, flip him, I guess. So, I mean, I don't know.
he has a lot of value to this Cubs team, no matter what direction they're going. Come the end of July, I agree with you there. That's a really good point. But yeah, man, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think a 4 spot in the first game or something of that nature would be huge, especially against the Major League worst 11-24 Detroit Tigers with their league worst -67 run differential. So let's add to that run differential, shall we? Let's make it like -72 right out the gate. You know, 5 or 6 runs in the first 2 or 3 innings, and like you said, hopefully Costa will win on Friday, and that sets you up well going into Saturday and Sunday against this Tigers team. They're not good. They are rebuilding. Everybody knows it. It's not a secret. So go take advantage of that opportunity, that little bit of a blessing on your schedule for 3 games and get the W. I'm going to go ahead and ride with the hot hand again. I picked him yesterday. He went 3 for 5 today. Don't let Jock get hot. I'm going to take Jock Peterson. You know what? I kind of want to see him pimp one over the weekend. I really do. I think he's due. He's due. I know you've said it. I know on the broadcast they've said it. Like, the power is going to come. Those home run balls are going to come. If he keeps hitting the way he's hitting and just scorching the shit out of the ball off the bat, that power is going to come. He's going to hit a couple long balls. Maybe he hits 1 or 2 this weekend. Him getting a single, though, instead of a home run today saved me from having to drink half a cup more. So that was good. My insides appreciate that. Certainly.
Well, shall we bring it back? How about if Jock just hits a home run this weekend, you'll do it. I think that's a lot easier for it to happen.
Well, I think you just want to see it happen. If we're being,
you're right.
I know you want me to share in your pain as well. I mean, the best part is I would literally do it on literally the next Cubs on Tap, then, which would probably be Sunday night. And it'll be the Sunday night show because obviously, as people know, we don't really do Saturday shows typically. Everybody's out enjoying themselves now, especially now that people are getting vaccinated, things are reopening, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean. it would be the Sunday night show, and I would have to drink a half or so a couple more. I'll make you a deal. If Jock hits one bomb and drives in at least 2 runs,
okay,
I will do half a solo cup of or half a red solo cup of Malort on Sunday nights. Cubs on Tap, because we'll be here to talk about it. So when you see me take a sip out of a cup, ladies and gentlemen, every single damn couple minutes, because I'm gonna have to kill that thing by the end of the episode, and I try to not to wince. You'll know why. I will have a water bottle on the side though, because Lord knows I can't just drink just for Lord. I'm not that much of a tough ass. But
listen, I sat here and ate mayo as slow as I possibly could. I'm glad no one told me I had to do it in like a half hour, man.
Yeah, that would have been awful, dude. I'm still impressed that you ate an entire thing of mayonnaise, but I really am. It's absolutely mind-boggling. But hey, you're a fucking champ, dude. So I'll give you that. That's dedication to the not only to your brand, but also to the Cubs and the Cubs fans that held you accountable. Because let's be honest, everybody wanted to see you eat mayonnaise. People I had never even seen interact with the Cubs on Tap account wanted you to eat mayonnaise. It was.
I think I'm hoping that we brought in some new listeners because of it. That's all I can hope. So
I hope so. I hope
they can because of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope they can ride along and enjoy all the inside jokes we're going to create over the rest of the season. But Cody, if you've got nothing else, man, we'll go ahead and let everybody know where to find us. Cubs on Tap is the official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. You can check everything out that we do over at www.ontapsportsnet.com and at ontapsportsnet on social media. If you want to follow the pod specific accounts, that's on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Cubbies, that is CUBBIES on tap. Cody does a great job with the Instagram account. A host of us do the Twitter account, so you can find us all there. I am at Loose on Tap on Twitter. Cody is at Cody on Tap on Twitter. And once again, you can find all of not only our great Cubs coverage, but all of our Chicago sports coverage over at www.ontapsportsnet.com and at OnTap Sportsnet on social media. The OnTap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with you guys Friday night. I don't know who's going to be on that show. I feel like it might be a combination of Cody and Joe, perhaps. We'll adjust and rebound as we need to when we get there. But nonetheless, we'll be off tomorrow, so hopefully you guys enjoy your Thursday. I know we will do the best to enjoy ours. Unfortunately, as we are here talking about a 2-1 Cubs loss in 10 against the Indians, so they are officially swept in the 2-game series today, that being the Cubs. Cody, let's get out of here. The only way we know how, man. Let's go Cubbies.
Let's go Cubs.